Hello Internet, welcome back to the Generation Strength YouTube channel. I'm Chris.
I'm Amber.
Cool. Alright, so the last couple weeks we've been going over some bench related training. This week we're going to do something similar to what we did in our squat series, where we talked about 3 big takeaways or cues that essentially any level of lifter can benefit from. So today, Amber and I are going to go over 3 of the most common or biggest mistakes we see in executing the bench press that, again, we find ourselves falling back on even with more of our advanced level lifters or just clients of ours that consistently compete. And yeah, let's get into it. All right, guys. So first part of the video today, we're going to talk about seeing lifters lack of setting full body tension in the bench press. So with squats, we've talked about wedging under the bar. Deadlifts, we've obviously talked about wedging against the bar, pulling slack. So setting full body tension in the setup for the bench press, and how we're going to show it to you today is essentially the wedge, the lifter's wedge for the bench press, right? So the biggest part of this with having Amber demonstrated for you today is it's going to be starting at the feet. So what we're going to see here is Amber's going to go ahead and set up for the bench. And we see this a lot when we see people set up for the bench press, right? When they're getting ready to set up and they kind of arch into their upper back, right? And we kind of see their butt come off the bench before they have the bar handed off to them. This is a consequence of leg drive being initiated before the start of the lift, which of course starts at the feet, right? So if you go to execute a bench press and you see your feet moving around right before you initiate the lift, chances are you're not creating good leg drive, not creating any stability, and you're not going to be in a good position to execute the lift. So Amber's down on the bench here. Before she even begins thinking about unracking the bar, she is pushing into that floor as much as she can, right? There is not more leg drive once she goes to lower the bar to her chest. She has as much leg drive into that floor, creating as much full body tension as she possibly can before I even go to give her this bar. That way, when she is holding that entire, in Amber's case, 250 plus pounds all on her own, she is using that leg drive to create as much of an arch as she can, and she's as stable as she can be to initiate this lift, right? If she wasn't doing this, you'd probably see a much flatter position at the chest, right? Her arch is gonna collapse, her shoulders are gonna roll inward, you're probably gonna see her feet moving around, and then when she goes to press this bar off her chest, right, you're probably gonna see her butt pop because she is compensating for the lack of leg drive that she already has. So you can solve the issue by wedging under the bar, setting your leg drive as much as you can to get as big of an arch as you can. There you go. Alrighty, so the second part of today's video, we're going to talk about leg drive and how leg drive needs to fall in line with the lifter's ability to execute the lift, or how the lifter is choosing to execute the lift. Again, me and Amber are great polar opposite ends of the spectrum examples here. Close grip, close to medium grip bench presser. My legs are farther out in front of me. I have less of an arch. My intention of leg drive is more, I'm trying to think of pushing myself off the back of the bench. So more of like a horizontal leg drive, right? I'm trying to push my feet out and away from me. Amber, being a high arch, feet tucked back lifter, wider grip. Again, I think I already said bigger arch. She has a bigger arch than me in the bench press, okay? Her feet are gonna be tucked back more beneath her, and she's going to have more of a vertical intent of leg drive, right? And her intention of leg drive is going to be more so just to keep herself stable. So you can think of it like she is going to try to catch the bar with her leg drive when she's descending on the bench press. For me, I'm more so using my leg drive to generate more force off the chest, right? To kind of carry that bar into that kind of groove backwards that we talked about in our video last week, right? Where close to medium grip bench pressers, they should push back over their face, right? So my leg drive is going to aid that, right?
Somebody like me who has more of an arch and more vertical press, something that really works for me is to think about pushing myself away from the bar. So down through the bench versus back. Right.
So like if we take somebody like Amber, well, she's going to demonstrate something different here. Again, Amber uses vertical leg drive for the bench press. If Amber were to bring her feet out farther away from her versus where she normally has them, tucked back underneath her, a little more vertical for me. Perfect, right? So she's gonna bring this bar out, and if she tries to push vertical through her legs off her chest, her butt's gonna pop off the bench, right? So she needs to think about trying to push back, right? And then of course, when she does that, she has more of that J-shaped bar path. So go ahead and rack it. So really, really easy to identify the differences here, right? Look at your foot position, look at how much of an arch you have, look at your grip width, and then decide the kind of leg drive that you need to use. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So the last part of this video today is gonna be pretty simple actually, but it's something that Amber and I run into a lot, not only with our own training in the past, but with, of course, clients of our own. And it's going to be pausing the bench press to the degree that we should be, of course, like if we're training for competition, right? So something that we see quite a bit with people that execute pauses in their training.
A lot of time we'll either see somebody sink or they're rushing the pause. So if you're getting onto the platform, in most of the rule books, you're going to see that the ref is going to be looking for a complete stop. So whether you're sinking it or you're pausing it directly on your chest as a soft touch, that bar needs to come to a complete stop. So you need to be practicing clean pauses in your training if you're going to be competing. Even if you're not competing, it's something that can be really beneficial to you because it is going to increase your strength over time.
So Amber's ready to bench press here, and it's like what we're talking about when we see people just sink their bar to their chest and press back up, right? Sinks in, then they come back up, right? But the bar never actually stops moving, right? So like Amber said, that bar needs to be motionless on the chest for her to get an actual press command as if she was competing, right? So go ahead and come down, bar stops moving, then she'd get a press command, and then she would come back up. So pretty simple, straightforward.
Yeah, something you can really work on is something called a soft touch. Work on that nice soft touch on the chest. It's not going to guarantee you a faster press command, but like we said, the refs are going to be looking for a nice controlled stop on the chest, so that's something you can practice.
Cool.